Hey, welcome back. Gonna be doing something a little different. Decided I'd show up on camera this time. Give you something to look at while I go over some of these patch notes. These are patch notes from a huge update that just got pushed by Relic and Microsoft. This is their first big seasonal update. There's a lot in here, and I'm just going to kind of briefly cover it to let you all know what to look out for in the next few videos that I might make. Uh, a lot of this isn't really a surprise. They actually had a sort of beta or like a play testing session where they made a lot of proposed changes, had people play it for a few weeks, give them feedback on it, and now they're finally pushing those changes out along with a bunch of other content. So let's talk about some of that content and some of those balance changes that are coming our way. So first off, there's going to be a ranked season. And I'm excited for this. When I had talked about my rank previously, that was mostly using unofficial leaderboards online that tracked players' wins and losses and gave them sort of an ELO. This is going to be an actual ranked season, so I'm excited to participate in it, and let's see how high I can go. That's probably where you're going to see my replays coming from, but hopefully it'll be a mix of ranked gameplay and maybe some fun team games and some random games that I'll be playing now that there's a lot more to do in the game. So we'll talk about these updates earlier or later on, but here we go. There's now a Age of Empires 4 content editor. Now this is so important for an RTS game. You really want you really want a content editor to create more custom content for the game. So you might be familiar with this if you've ever used like the world editor from Warcraft or StarCraft. A lot of Blizzard games come with really good content editors. But this is basically going to be a tool that we can use, anyone can use, to make our own custom games, custom maps. I'm very excited for it. I'm not sure how much I'll make use of it, but I know lots of modders and map developers are excited for it. Of course, first ranked season starts next week. There's also a global build queue, so you'll be able to not only see it during a game, but also when we do observer mode. So I think during replays, we'll be able to see it. Basically, on the side of the screen, you'll be able to see every single unit that's sort of in production queue. It's really helpful to keep track of what a player is making, what they're researching. It's just a good way to stay organized. Looks like some stuff specific to the global build queue. Very cool. Let's see here. Hotkeys. Lots of improvements to hotkeys. There's now a lot more individual keys, and there's now more keys that you can map. So there's all sorts of new ones. I can rebind my mouse 3, 4, and 5, which is handy. I mean, I've got 3, 4, and 5 on here. I mean, I've got buttons that go up to like 7 or 8. So I'm excited to make use of those. I'm hoping I can make control groups with them, but we'll see. At the very least, I could use it to cycle through idle villagers. That'd be great. I can just smack a button on my mouse and take into idle villagers. Oh, it looks like you can turn on or off control group exclusivity. That's cool. So that probably means that I will be able to use my mouse buttons as a control group. We'll be able to rebind Alt and Shift. Currently, Alt is like rotate camera, Shift is queue orders. I use Shift all the time, Alt almost never. Cool. I'm really excited about those hotkey improvements. Those were demanded very early on. We can navigate the map after we've been eliminated or the game is over. That's been something in Age of Empires for a long time. People were surprised it wasn't in here. Basically, when the match is over, you can click like stay in the game, and all the fog of war is removed from the map, and you're able to see what your opponent built, what you had built. Basically, the curtain is drawn the moment the game ends, and everyone can see the results of the game. Very excited about Patrol move. Patrol is where a unit goes back and forth between 2 points, and they're basically attack moving along that pathway. It's extremely helpful for making small groups of units patrol maybe resource patches. That way, if your opponent goes out to build on a berry patch that you're having units patrol, the units will just immediately start attacking the villagers that are there. Also pretty helpful on water maps because you really want to cycle your ships around and look for units. It's helpful for units with big range as well. I think English longbowmen might make good use of patrol. We'll see. You can now use the random civilization selection when setting up for a map. Love it. Sometimes you just want to be surprised yourself. Why not just get a random civilization thrown your way? Looks like they're adding some new Art of War challenges. I don't particularly do these. These are just kind of mini challenges to take on different scenarios that they have set up, just to kind of test your skills. Q dodging cooldowns, so no more dodging matches. Not that I've ever done that. So it's nice that it escalates from 5 to 15 to 30 to 60 minutes. Really liking the improvements to the Chinese dynasty user interface. It's just beautiful. I love the kanji, the Chinese characters. That's great. Looks like they updated some campaign missions. Great. And they also tossed in some mods. So these are mods they likely made with that content editor that's being released. And they've made Royal Rumble, which is essentially Regicide from Age of Empires 2. It's a new game mode. Most of what you've seen me play in my replays is just standard gameplay where you can win by destroying all enemy landmarks, capturing the sacred sites and holding them for a period of time, or building a wonder and holding the wonder for a period of time. But I'm sure most of the games you've seen me play, you just surrender. It almost never comes to a victory condition. But there have been games that I've put on that went into sacred victory over time. Those were some exciting ones. But in Royal Rumble, you get a king, which is this single unit that isn't very good. It moves very slowly, but the idea is that you are eliminated from the game when your king is killed. So if you can snipe the opponent's king, you can quickly win. The rest of these are maps. So this was a game mode that they made. They made Tombolos, which is, I think, yeah, multiple islands connected by these little land passages. Britain and Ireland, it's kind of a recreation of Britain and Ireland. Indian subcontinent, kind of a recreation of southern India. The Gulch looks like a box canyon with walls on all sides. Looks like that's a reference to Halo. You gotta love it. Thick woods just doubles the amount of wood available in trees. So this is like a tuning pack. So we saw a game mode. These are generated maps. These are tuning packs. So these are like little mutators that you can add to the game. So it doesn't double the amount of trees. It actually just doubles the amount of wood that you can get from a tree. Cool. Double villagers. Looks like you can train 2 at a time. So that's for those quick games that you want. You want to just get up and running. And dire wolves, the wolves are enormous, have tons of hit points, and do tons more damage. So just some fun ways that the content editor can interact with the normal game. Okay, let's talk balance. Now, this was their sort of goals that they had in mind. This is what they were going to focus on. They want tighter win rates, which is always something you want. I mean, this isn't really, this is like an overall goal that you'll see every time. Encourage earlier conflict on the map with deer patches, so they're going to improve hunting, improve the feel of moving naval units, and increase strategic options through more effective retreats. So that likely means naval units are going to take on a different behavior. Maybe they'll fire slower or move slower. Or actually, no, more effective retreats, they might increase the speed. Increase risk and counterplay when constructing buildings. This is something I think I talked about in a replay. You're going to be able to do extra damage to buildings which are still in construction. Ensure Civ unique units stand out instead of being niche counters. Yeah, this is going to mean units that are, they're mostly talking about the Abbasid units, but they're talking about units that are really only used for one thing, never get built. And when they are built, the enemy quickly pivots to a new unit composition. So I liked this change. Make dynasty bonuses more useful for the period of the game in which they are unlocked. I think this has to do with all of the Chinese dynasties kind of having an element of them shifted earlier in the match, which I think is a good idea. I mean, it's hard to get those Chinese dynasty units and buildings. Create more compelling decision making around landmark picks. This one is also going to continue to be a goal. This one's going to be a goal every single time. Landmarks constantly need to be balanced and adjusted. So I'm excited to see what they do here. Probably involving HRE. Holy Roman Empire needs some changes. So for all civilizations, the field construction time for springalds, mangonels, and traction trebuchets has been increased. And you'll notice springalds really increased, 30 to 80. Mangonels 40 to 80. So mangonels are doubled, whereas springalds are more than doubled. Same with traction trebuchet, more than doubled. This really only affects Mongols because they're the only ones who can make traction trebuchets. But the Springald and Mangonel, I love playing Abbasid, so I'm a little sad to see this. That said, these siege units could be built in game by 16 or 20 whatever infantry in. I mean, the numbers they have here, the whole 30 to 80, that's if one infantry unit is building the siege unit. Like, it really takes maybe 3 seconds to build one of these siege engine units if everyone's working on it. So it's not going to be as dramatic as we think. Mostly, I mean, especially if you're able to hide your units before they build all the siege units, who really cares? It's just a matter of a few seconds before you drop the hammer on the opponent. Changes to scouts. Scout hunting bow reload time reduced. Scout melee weapon cooldown reduced. Scout melee weapon damage reduced. The only thing you need to know here is that scouts do less damage but attack twice as fast. So they deal the same DPS. However, they deal extra damage to other scouts. I believe that is still retained from the public update preview. So basically, the way to scare off scouts that are harassing your villagers, and they're going to be worse at harassing, uh, is to get your own scout and have your scout chase away the other scout. It also means that they attack deer a lot quicker. So deer will go down a lot faster to scouts. So that's good. Okay, this looks like there are changes to hunting. Villager hunted meat capacity increased. Survival techniques has been retooled. So it looks like no matter who you are, you can carry more meat capacity. And that's important because when it comes to gathering resources, if the resource is really nearby, you don't care about your capacity. Your capacity could be 5. As long as they're mining, get their 5, return it, and can immediately go back to work, who cares what they can carry? But for resources where you have to travel a small distance to collect it, that's when you really want capacity to be high. That's why fishing ships are so good. They can hold up to 40 food, so you don't care that they have to go all the way out into the ocean to collect the deep fish because they're going to gather, 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 gather. Finally, when they have everything, sail, cash it all in, and then go back to work. So that's really good that they're upping the capacity. That just makes hunting in general better. So you're going to see all civilizations go for deer patches and boar a lot more. I mean, you saw what happened when berry capacity was increased for Abbasid and Delhi. They just started going for berry patches left and right. Naval. Looks like arrow ships can no longer fire while moving. That's good. Responsiveness of small and medium ships. Sounds like they want to make engagement in naval battles a little bit easier to. They want to make the naval combat a little bit more dynamic. It did honestly feel like when two big navies would clash, you could figure out who was going to win in a few seconds because it was all about numbers game. So once you started to lose, there was nothing you could do. If you tried to retreat, you were screwed. So I like this. It looks like maybe small and medium ships will turn faster, be able to retreat quicker. keep the large ships clunky, make the small ones more responsive and more nimble. Looks like they're reducing the time it takes to research the fishing improvements. That's good. I like it. They did take way longer, and honestly, you just wanted to make more fishing ships than research it. Reducing population of ships, that's good. That'll allow for just more naval play. Why not? Bagla buffs, that's good. I think that's Abbasid. I think Abbasid use a Bagla as well. Just some minor changes to all these naval ships. I mean, rarely do I even get to major naval builds in my own games, but let's see here. Rams can no longer target naval units. I'm a little sad about this. If someone had a ship like sitting on a land bridge or near a shoreline, you could actually have a ram go up to the ship and start pounding away at the ship and kill it. Really sad that that's gone, but I like that they're respecting our love for it. It did add a fun dynamic to the game. Although nowadays, like, I mean, the only reason people used to send rams against naval units was because one, it was possible and funny, and two, there weren't any other siege units that actually did decent damage to ships, and they've patched that out. Now, springalds and cannons, those do great damage to ships now. There it is. Buildings under construction receive 50% more damage. Love this. Chinese players could drop down a keep, build it in a few seconds, and there was no real way to punish them. Maybe you kill a few of their villagers, but now they have a keep standing uh, between you and, and their army. So really happy to see that. And look, they even increased the build time for keeps. So now people aren't just going to be dropping castles aggressively. I mean, castles are meant to take a long time to build, I mean, realistically, and they're meant to be a defensive structure. So why have it be something that you like plop down on the front lines? The only thing I want to see drop down on the front lines are like palings from longbowmen or Pavis shields from arbaletiers. Like it should be a quick defensive thing, not an entire castle being built. Stonewall Tower build time increased, Stonewall Tower cost increased. I like this change. Those were really annoying defensive structures that again could be used offensively. Yeah, weakening feudal Stone Age wall tower rushes is great. I remember losing to a French player who did that, and it was frustrating. Boiling oil cost increased. Yeah, it's a powerful upgrade, so I'm glad they're upping the cost to that. Oh, and the research time is increasing too. Looks like some technology adjustments. I don't think this is too important, but basically they're relocating some techs to different buildings. Siege Works is gaining an increased cost, basically trying to balance some of these siege upgrades. Some of them were amazing and cost nothing. Others cost way too much and gave you so little. So I'm glad that they're adjusting some of this. Let's see here. Okay, pretty good. Oh, all right. Balance civilization specific. Oh, baby, look at that. Abbasid right there. I'm excited for this. Orchard bonus reduced from plus 250 to plus 100 food. We like that the berry gathering speed makes this a primary source of obviously, but it gives a boon for too long. We want them to have to move out on the map to more risky positions sooner. Okay. So when the Abbasid gather from berry bushes, they get like a little bit extra that other people wouldn't get. And I always thought of it as more of a you're getting lots of food quickly, not that it was lasting longer. I'm kind of surprised to see this change because I feel like berries run out really quick, but now they're going to run out even quicker. So that's kind of rough, but that's okay. I mean, with the changes to hunting, that'll be all right. And I still like Abbasid. I mean, you could do that on maps that have a lot of your food resources really close to your base. So maps like Hill and Dale or Altai, maps where moving out on the map to a more risky position really just means a few feet to your left. Like it'll still be good in those scenarios. So a little nerf there, but that's okay. Bunch of Camel Archer changes. Move speed increased. Damage to Spearmen reduced, but damage overall increased. Camel Rider, damage increase, but their damage against cavalry is reduced. So this is just making them more useful units overall. They do less damage to the units that they were specifically meant to counter, but then they do more damage just overall. And I still think that's double damage to Spearmen. Camel Archers still seem really good versus Spearmen. Okay, I'm not sure if this will make me want to make an army exclusively of camels, which I've loved to do, but is kind of impractical. Uh, I think it will allow me to mix these units into my compositions a little bit more. Now it's more tempting to toss in a few camel archers and a few camel riders. Camel Barding now only affects camel riders, no longer affects the camel archer. A little sad about that. You could really make camel archers beefy with lots of armor, lots of hit points, thanks to biology and camel barding, but okay. Yeah, there's a lot of upgrade stacking, I agree. They move camel barding from black to stables, okay. Reduce the cost of it because it's less good. That's dirt cheap. I like that. I'll get it no matter what. If it only affects camel riders, I mean, camel riders need that armor, so I'm into it. Faith can no longer use to convert naval units. I didn't even know it could. Golden Age production speed bonus now properly applies to all production buildings and not only military production buildings. That's interesting. Huh. Does that mean it applies to town centers properly now? Production buildings. Interesting. Oh, I bet it also affects mosques. So you can now train imams faster. That's definitely something that applies to. Composite bows tooltip now correctly displays 33%. Okay, yeah. Composite bows was a great upgrade. And saying that it was 25%, in reality it's 33%. It's a good thing to note. Composite bows is just a really good Imperial Age upgrade. Proof processing now applies to town centers. Okay, interesting that it didn't apply to town centers before, but at that stage in the game, you're probably not returning goods to town centers, so that's okay. Okay, economy wing changes. Everybody goes economy wings, so these better be good. Agriculture costs reduced. Awesome. I will get this every single time. And look how quick it takes. I'll shift to farms the moment I can. That's amazing. Trade wing changes. Grand Bazaar moved from the Imperial Age to the Feudal Age. Its cost is adjusted. Spice roads moved from the Feudal Age to the Imperial Age. Its cost adjusted. So if you went trade wing now, you could research a technology where your traders will bring back an extra resource in addition to gold. Okay. And then Spice Roads is now Imperial Age, which just increases the gold that you get from your traders. It just, I don't know, the investment for all those caravans, I still think the trade wing is just not all that exciting. I could maybe get in the Castle Age. That'd be cool, but the tier 2 tech in the trade wing is what needs to be changed. I don't need extra armor on my traders. That really needs to be changed. Military wing changes. Boot camp changed from Imperial Age to Feudal Age. Interesting. Cost adjusted. Camel rider shields cost reduced. Love it. Camel support requirement increased from Feudal Age to Imperial Age, and it's cost adjusted. Oh, and its bonus armor goes to 2. Okay, I like what they're doing here with the military branch. This is nice because boot camp early on is cool since it kind of it makes all your infantry tankier, and as you get upgrades for your infantry, it's going to pay off more and more. So it's nice to have something that pays off more and more. That's why people go the economic wing and get fresh foodstuffs because it begins to pay off when you have one town center, and then it continues to pay off more when you get to 2 town centers or 3. That's what you want from these early feudal age upgrades. So that's really cool. It's going to make infantry tankier if you decide to go that military wing. Camel Rider Shields is now way more affordable. You're going to be able to get tanky Camel Riders in no time. You'll be able to get them in the Castle Age so quickly if you go Military Wing and you get that Camel Barding. And Camel Barding might be Imperial, but not sure. But basically the armor issues that Camel Riders ran into is going to be a lot more easy to solve. I mean, look at the, the cost change on this. That's huge. And I do like that the camel support is better, and it really was an Imperial Age thing. If you want to give mass amount of units 1 or 2 armor, you want it to be at the end of the game when that can actually like make a difference and pay dividends. Okay, Chinese. Looks like they're making some changes to ancient techniques, so they're going to grab this. Oh, okay, normally grab song early. This tech is giving at least a 10% bonus. Okay, that increases your gathering rates. So I think increasing the cost of this is probably a good move. And the time increase 60 to 90, I like that. Barbican of the Sun side range is matching outposts. Sure, Imperial Spy's ability now reveals every like production unit. Cool. Or economic unit. Okay, apparently they weren't collecting taxes properly, the Imperial officials. That's good to know. Elite Fire Lance torch damage wasn't increasing when upgraded Elite. Okay, good bug fix. Good bug fix. Units and abilities are no longer gated when advancing to the next dynasty. That's cool. So now, no matter what, you can always build the previous units. That makes that one landmark for the Chinese maybe not as amazing, but that's okay. Movement speed bonus no longer applies to siege. Yup, probably a good move. No one likes speedy siege units. Village requirement reduced. That's pretty cool. Looks like they're upping the cost of villages. They're just making them better, but more expensive and easier to get. I kind of like that. It's nice to just build one building and know that your population problems are solved for a while. Granary requirement reduced, so you can make granaries quicker. But they nerfed the granary. They're reducing the harvest bonus and increasing the health. I don't know about this one. I don't think people are going to be making granaries. Like, yeah, you can get them earlier, but there's also been improvements to hunting. So why would I not just grab like a dozen villagers, set them to hunting, and then put my imperial official on that mill that's out there, getting all the deer meat. But go to relic resource bonus reduced. Fair enough. Not sure how often this came into play, but it was a nice. It looks like you can get it earlier, so that's cool. Not sure how much people are going to use that. Most people just keep their relics in their monastery to just get that bonus gold. Looks like, oh, damn. Imperial officials are not as good. They're going from 200% to 150%. Oh, that's unfortunate. I do like that research speed bonus. I mean, you can get out professional scouts or wheelbarrows so quickly. They're changing the cost in Purple Official from 150 food to 150 gold. It looks like China was able to rapidly accelerate the age time by skipping a mining camp and using tax gold to age up. Yeah, that was fun. People would do that all the time. I guess they're trying to prevent that and have Chinese just age up as quickly as they can. For the Delhi Sultanate, here's some changes. Delhi Sanctity Gold bonus reduced, so Delhi grabbing sacred sites on the map quickly is not going to mean GG. That means if they get all 3, you might actually have a chance of coming back. Delhi starting wood reduced, nice. Love to see that. I'd love it if Delhi players were actually challenged into thinking what buildings they need early on, so I like that. Herbal medicine moved to the Castle Age. Like this change as well. Delhi would just research it for free, and now suddenly if they bring maybe 3 imams along in their army, you can't kill some of their tankier units because they'd just be healed nonstop. Orchard bonus reduced as well, so Abbasid, they got the berry nerf, so's Delhi. Renaming Tower War Elephant, good. Armored Beast now has a correct tooltip, great. correctly positioned. Yeah, these are just some small fixes. Oh, Tower of Victory attack speed bonus increased, so that'll encourage people to go Tower of Victory instead of the landmark, which gives cheap scholars. That's definitely a good change. That's a nice landmark balance that they mentioned earlier. Yeah, just some looks like just some more fixes. Okay, English. Here we go. I play a lot of English. I'm curious about this. Man-at-Arms train time reduced from 22 to 15 seconds. So these are for the like very early Man-at-Arms units. You can pump these guys out now. And their Vanguard, the upgrade to them, get increased armor. And the Abbey of Kings healing rate has been increased. They really want you to rush Man-at-Arms early on, but I'm not sure how useful this will be. I think early on you can typically damage someone's gold mining operation. If they have a stone operation, you can also harass that. But from that point on, you're going to be getting attacked by town centers. Like your units are going to have to come so close to the town center that they will be punished. I mean, I play English against opponents who build buildings way outside their base and punish them for it. That's why I play English on hybrid water maps when there's a dock to punish. I I mean, I feel like it was punishing enough. I was already taking out those extraneous buildings. This means could I put man-at-arms in my opponent's wood line? Like take the town center fire and just tank it, kill off maybe a villager, and then what? Run back to the proxy Abbey of Kings? I don't think that's really going to happen. I've seen players do horsemen, just make a big horseman army, harass with it. They have good armor versus ranged units. And then once they've all done their damage and they're all hurt, you bring your horsemen back to your Abbey of Kings and they all just heal right back up. I think we'll probably see more play like that. Maybe English cavalry, like knights and horsemen. Starting wood increase, more options. You gotta love it. Oh, for that barracks rush, that's what I like to hear. Honestly, that's gonna mean my proxy barracks versus my opponent's docks. That's gonna be great. Love that increased starting wood. Let's see, White Tower and Berkshire, new emplacements, great. It's just sort of a visual fix. Setup camp can no longer be triggered in combat. Good. There's a way to bug it out. Okay, French. Red Palace now has visual weapon in place for boiling oil. Okay, surprised it didn't. The Pavis ability now actually increases armor by +5 instead of setting armor to 5. I really want to start playing French now that I see this because I always thought that Pavis ability was underused. Now I know why. It literally takes away armor in some scenarios. But yeah, I just like the idea of a tanky crossbowman who just doesn't run away from big masses of man-at-arms and instead just like puts down the Pavis and just goes to work. So I really want to try that out. And it looks like just some more bug fixes. HRE, the Regnitz Cathedral relic capacity reduced from 3 to 2. Love this change. Regnitz Cathedral is way too powerful. Burgrave Palace, the other option to the Regnitz, is now better. It produces infantry 400% faster instead of training units in batches of 5, which is great. Sometimes you don't want 5 man-at-arms produced. Maybe I want 2 man-at-arms and 3 archers. Well, now I can get those kind of blended batches at the same speed. So I like that. Minework Palace has been buffed, so people don't always go chapel. I like that. This is one of the first landmarks you can get. So the research discount is increased. The research speed has been increased, so you can get all those 1/1 upgrades for your units in the feudal age so fast. Love it. Palace of Swabia, villager production speed and discount reduced. Perfect. Swabia is so powerful. I'd argue it's still too powerful, but we'll see. Until I see Holy Roman Empire players getting a second town center, like before they get the Palace of Swabia, it'll be too powerful. Inspired Warriors effect duration increase from 30 seconds to 60 seconds. I've never seen Holy Roman Empire players use their prelates to buff up their military. So I'd really like to see this happen in the future. Marching drills is cheaper, and I believe it affects prelates now. Yeah. So prelates will be running around being able to keep pace with the army. So that's also another reason why you might see um, that inspired warriors effect in play more. Okay, Elsbach with the boiling oil visual, perfect. Okay, some weird relics issues. This is just more bug fixes. Emergency repairability, great. Mongols. Let's see. Textiles improved has been added to the town center. Cool. So you can get textiles improved. Your villagers will be extra tanky. Looks like a slight nerf to improve biology, and then mostly just bugs. Oh, Cognate Palace has been buffed. Or no, nerfed actually. It produces manganite in 90 seconds instead of 77 seconds. So that's a little sad. But I mean, rarely do I see Mongol players even make it to the Imperial Age. Still. Other than that, just some more bug fixes, and yes, upgraded Yam or movement speed no longer applies to siege weapons. Perfect. Stop giving siege units speed. All right, slight nerfs to Mongols, but that's okay. Rus. Warrior monk weapon range increased. These monks always charged into battle and never seem to actually connect. They would never actually attack a unit. So I'm really happy to see them get increased range because I always thought it was cool, the idea that the warrior monk attacks someone and then all the units around them get inspired to do more damage. So I'm glad to see that's been improved because it sucks sending in a warrior monk. It's a very expensive unit and just see it get sniped by archers or siege units and just be like, okay, well, didn't even get a chance. Horse archer precision technology weapon range bonus reduced from 2 to 1. Horse archers, they used to be way too powerful, and now I feel like maybe we're nerfing them a little too much, but I guess we'll see. Streltsy double time ability no longer quickens their static deployment ability. Good. That was not the intention. The double time ability is so you can get your units where they need to be so they can then stop and fire multiple times to get the static deployment build up. So it's silly that it would quicken the deployment ability. Banded arms bonus range. So this is springald range. In case you didn't know, the Rus have the best springalds in the game because you can increase the range of them to just this astronomical level. And you've got springald sniping units from like across the screen. Yeah, it does lead to drawn out stalemate style gameplay. It's not very exciting. Good to see they'll revisit it in the future, but that's not much of a bonus anymore. Golden Gate trade buttons have been relocated. Honestly, that's a good fix. I remember playing as the Rus, and it's annoying that the Golden Gate had different hotkeys for trading. They're also fixing these Lodya fishing ships. They're making some adjustments to them, saying rather than being able to spam out these Lodya fishing ships and then converting them all into military ships, instead they're going to be twice as expensive, but twice as good. So you just have less numbers of them overall. Helpful for when it's helpful for preventing just huge mass conversions of units from fishing ships to military ships and then just overwhelming your opponent. Now it's going to be a few fishing ships, maybe you convert one or two of them. Okay, I think that's about it. The rest is mostly just specific map changes, which I don't think anyone's too particularly interested in. But I will say there is the addition of new maps, such as Mega Random. It has a ton of sliders to randomly generate a map. And so what you get is completely different every time and makes no sense. There's no balance, there's no anything. It's just pure chaos. So you might spawn right next to a relic while another person's right next to a nice fish deposit and another person's just surrounded by deer. You never know. You have to adapt really quickly. And you can see some previews of what was generated here. Look, these markets are near each other. That makes no sense. I like the blend of resources here. And look at how hilly and mountainous this one is. That's really cool. I love it. I'm really excited to play this game mode because, or this map because it's just fun. And if you lose, you can blame it on the map, and if you win, you can say it was all skill. Looks like some more map bug fixes. Looks like they also created another custom map called Valley Battle. Changes to the campaign, great. Some quality of life and bug fixes. Cool. That's it for the update. I'm really excited for what we've got coming. I think a lot of these changes are really positive. And honestly, this is just the kind of content that we were looking for. So hopefully the next few games, you're going to see a lot of these patch changes impact what we do and how we play. And I'm hopefully going to show you some new content. I mean, we'll try out that mega random map. We're definitely going to do some more team games, and we're also going to try to climb the ladder in ranked gameplay. That's probably what you're going to see a lot of in the future. Anyway, thanks for sticking around, and hopefully we'll see you for the next few games. Excited to play them. All right, see ya.